Bureau, and this morning I have the pleasure and honor of having Glenn Tramm on my channel today. How you doing, sir?
How are you, Nicolas? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, very well. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for
Thank you.
coming on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you
For
for having me on the
people,
show.
yeah, no worries at all. For people who are unaware of who you are, if you just want to give an introduction of yourself and your work.
Yeah. My name is Glenn Tramm. I am a podcast creator, a content creator of the Great Work Experience. I am part of the Great Work Network, One Great Work Network, and yeah, I'm been doing this work for over 2 years now. I think originally I am from the Netherlands, Amsterdam. My podcast is more geared towards the Dutch listeners, but I'm not shy on, you know, um, coming to the English speaking public as well. So maybe a little bit. I Normally I do three types of content creation. I do the Dutch version, and sometimes I do the English versions, and sometimes I do the Spanish version as well. I have three languages because where we're from, for where I'm from right now, it's in Dutch Caribbean. We speak three languages, so it's the Dutch, even four, but three main big ones. So I try to focus basically on Dutch audiences. So for the people interested in my work, um, it's in Dutch, unfortunately, but there are some great stuff out there in English and in Spanish as well. Yeah, just get a look, just go get a quick look. Sorry for that. So thank you for having me on the show, Nicolas. Yeah.
Yeah, not a problem. So thank you for that
Yeah.
introduction. So when we're talking about your work, um, I really want to kind of delve into who and what inspired you on your journey.
Yeah, but my journey started, to be honest, Nicolas, when I was 15 years of age. I always said 15 years of age because that is the time that I can go back in my mind and remember that was my first step. And the funny thing is that it wasn't even in the occult. The funny thing is it was in church. So I was a devout Christian, right? With all the paparazzi, you know what I mean? So, coming to Christ and, giving your life into Christ, that bullshit. I bought into that. And that is how I started, basically. But before that, and the reason why I went to church, and before that, I was really concerned about, I had always a feeling that something is wrong in the world, that something has to change. And um, and then based on that desire, I came in contact with some church folks, and they introduced me to the church. And I was born Catholic even. And from that, they brought me to a charismatic church. I don't know if you know that movement, that is the Pentecostal church. And you have to, um, they have a lot of music. And so for me, it was very strange coming like the first time into church. So that's how I started, as a church going person, just a normal church going person. And but when I saw how the church was conducting himself, and how the people outside the church are conducting themselves, I didn't see much of a difference, to be honest. My I have an early age. I have come in contact with I would call it my coach now. I don't think none of these people would consider themselves my teacher, but I learned so much from um, some of them, and they were even satanic in their behavior and their thought process. So, and I couldn't, then I didn't understand too much. But then when I went to church, I started to, link things to each other, saying, hey, but this is not really that different from what this satanic person was talking, what's teaching me. So I really was hoping that I could um, kind of like bring not only my life around, but also change the world a little bit, because the world is in such a, you have so much pain and suffering. I couldn't understand why some people are rich and why some have to be poor. Is this a karmic consequence? Later I would understand that that is the case, but is this also a punishment of God? I saw it more like a punishment of God. And why should God be, punish all these people? Are we so evil? Are we so wrong in our, in our doings? And but I didn't understand these concepts. So I got in contact with a lot of pastors, Nicolas. So I have a lot of um, friends, pastor friends. Now they're not that good with me anymore because of the way, the journey that I've chosen. So not all of them, really talk to me, to be honest. But this is how basically Glenn started. I started just in the church, and now I grew up in it, seeing all these horrible things happening. If you're talking about immorality, so you have to go to church. That is where you find it the most. And some of them even acknowledge that. That's the funny thing about it. They know that there is the place that you will find the most broken people ever, but they're not doing much, or they're not giving you much tools to really change, because the idea behind it is that God is a merciful God, and it will pardon your sins, and you can keep doing your bullshit till kingdom comes. So that is how I started. That is like the real starting point, um, for me. And so I started to dig deep into the Bible as well. This is also one of those things that many people don't know about me. And I know the Bible from cover to cover, to be honest. I can really go into much of the details about the Bible, because that was something that I was really interested in, and I found it intriguing even to read it. Um, but I always had a sense that I don't know if the God that the church is talking about is that type of a God, because it seems to me, because I was reading the Bible as well, that he was very evil, or jealous. These things for me are all human qualities, right? So the jealousy, the killing, and telling other people to go and kill people there in their village, and take their stuff, and then reading that in the Ten Commandments that you should not steal. So for me, that was like very strange. I couldn't get it. I couldn't see this God that changes his mind whenever he see fit. So that was for me, that started something in me. I don't know what it was, to be honest, but that started something in me. The desire to understand more, and to try, and that is the reason why I started to make pastors my friend as well, because I was hoping that they would be able to explain to me these discrepancies that I was reading about. So I wasn't someone that liked to read a lot before, but then I became a bookworm, and the Bible was one of the reasons why, because it was occult knowledge. At least part of that book is truth. So it's occult knowledge. Many of the things people don't even understand, like they call themselves Christians, they don't even understand what it means. So it was for me a very, very interesting journey, to be honest. And now I'm here. This is how I started in the church. I started with some people pointing me things out, and then one day it was one lady. This is the first time I'm telling this on in the public, Nicolas. I was on this island where I'm right now, Curacao. So those who don't know where Curacao is, it's 40 kilometers up from Caracas, Venezuela. So if you know where Venezuela is, Caracas, South America, I'm in the Caribbean, and it's a Caribbean island, right? And up from Caracas, like come more or less 40 kilometers, it's not that far away. You will have one island. It's part of the Dutch kingdom. It's Dutch, and so we speak Dutch there. We speak English, and we speak Papiamento, which is like kind of like a Creole kind of like language, you can say. And we do speak Spanish as well, because we have so much so much relationship with South America. So um, what I was talking about is that I was on the island that day, so more or less 3 years ago, and I just met someone. It was a very friendly person. It was a very friendly. She was a waiter, right? And what happened is that she came to me, and we were talking just about stupid stuff. Yeah, and then she pointed out this book to me, and this is the Kybalion. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it's because in I think in those times they will say Kibailon, so Kibailon. So, but I just say Kibalion. And she introduced that book to me. Say, Glenn, you know what? You should read this book. And it was a small read. It was a very small read as well. And I just was at so much things for me make sense then that I started to put everything together I read in the Bible because of these seven, like because it's from the Hermetic tradition. The book claims that it is written by three initiates, which for me was like, what the fuck is three initiates? And but I just read it cover to cover and then let it sink, and then read it again cover to cover and then let it sink. And then that brought me into this whole natural law kind of because I was reading that book, and then one way or the other I was like, oh, this guy is talking about facts, things that really we can really experience in the world, and things that really it makes sense. It's more it is not religion, you know what I mean? So I was really digging, and then I was really it was a time of awakening. That was the point that I came into the contact with the occult world, even more of those materials, because previous to that, I wasn't allowed to touch these materials. And even though I did dig into Kabbalah, which is but it was from a Christian perspective, which is evil. It is evil. It's not. It's mysticism, and people are not looking for God, believe in God, those kind of things. So it was like an introductory seminar, but against it. It wasn't really talking about these concepts objectively, like because there are real good fundamental truths in those traditions as well. So and Kabbalah is the foundation of the Jewish religion. So and it is also the foundation of the Judeo-Christian religion. So for me, it was mind blowing that they are rejecting that which created them in the first place. And but this is how I started, Nicola. So from the church, getting this person in my life, giving me that book, and that just changed my whole life. I could understand the Bible way better than before, and that catapulted me to write started to write my first material, because I was looking for other ways to enrich this knowledge, this understanding of reality, because that's what it began. That was the journey. I'm starting to understand what is who am I as a person, what is my role in this world, and how what is the relationship that we have with the creator, because we have only two things: the creator and its creature, or the created, you can say. So I was really intrigued by how can we better ourselves, because not only because then I was looking at it for a selfish reasons. So I was really looking at how can I improve me, how can I and if God is the one that I have to go to ask for favors, why not? That is basically my selfishness talking to me. And I was really looking for a way to better myself, because I was we were raised not poor. I wouldn't say poor, because I had everything I needed in life. I went to school, I have university degrees, everything. And so I wouldn't say we were poor, but and in relation to the rest of the world, you can say, of relation to the rest of the people around us, we hadn't had that much. I hadn't had that much in any case. So so I couldn't understand why some people have a lot and some people have nothing. So even people having like less, even less than myself, I couldn't I couldn't get it around my head. Why should people be in this state? And then that was really boiling inside of me, and it catapulted me into this into this. I would say it is a beautiful path. I wouldn't change it for anything else nowadays, to be honest. But yeah, that is a little bit short version about how things came to be, for me.
Yeah, and everyone has their own journey. So I
Yeah,
always love digging into that, especially with people that are standing up and taking effective action through like acquiring knowledge and inspiration. So I always like that because that's what I try to do on this channel is also try to delve into that a little bit more
yeah,
with content creators because I know that there's a lot of people that potentially watch that have a lot of knowledge and they're sitting on a lot of knowledge, but they're just not activated and they're not doing it in any sort of way. So I just try to, just lift that veil for people just to show, like you're just a normal guy. It's just because you have a channel and you got a profile photo and you got videos that you make, it doesn't make you any different. Just like you talk about in
no,
your book with people that are in positions of government or whatever, just because they have a suit and tie on, just because they have a costume on, it doesn't change the reality of the situation that we're all
no,
equal on this planet. So
yeah.
so yeah, just showing people, it can be a little daunting, but we gotta, just take effective action, and that's why I'm just so glad that I was able to purchase your book. If people can even see
Thank you
it,
for that. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to see it because I have that blurry thing. But if you want to delve into your book a little bit, what inspired you to make a book instead of, because I do videos, you also do videos, but then you decided, hey, I'm gonna make myself a book as well. So if you want to just
yeah,
delve into the name of it, what it's all about, like, and also if you want to delve into the process of making a book too, for people that
yeah.
are
I
interested.
will. Yeah, sure, sure, of course. I was so as I was talking about, I came to this, at the end, to the knowledge of the occult. So there's a lot of knowledge that is basically hidden from the population, and the Kybalion helped me. It's like the Kybalion is like the first, like, keys to understand the occult. Even I discussed that even in my book as well. The seven, basic principles. These are like the seven principles of creation, even. And it started to make so much sense. But I wanted to create something. From that point, when I started to grow in consciousness, you could even say, from that point, I wanted to leave behind something for my own generation. And I wasn't doing. I didn't write that book for the population. I wrote it for my own sons. I have five sons, and I didn't want to leave this world without blessing them with that knowledge, because that knowledge made so much sense for me, and it transformed me innerly. So I say, okay, so how can I build something that summarizes the whole body of it all, which was a pretty difficult thing to do. And because considering that children or the young don't like to read anymore, we love to have, go into our devices and tablets and those kind of things, and then we're not readers anymore. We consume information from other types of sources. So that's why I made it so thin. I tried to make it as thin as possible, that it can be something that can be consumed like in one day if you want to, even. So you can go through it in one day, but if you really want to, go with it piece by piece, you can do that as well, without it to overwhelm you too much. And I'm trying to make it as simple as well. So in common English language, in common Dutch language, in common Spanish language. So because the book is translated in three languages. So I really was trying to explain to my to my own cups. I call them like that. My own cups. I was trying to explain them the essence of why you're here. What is it? What is How are you supposed to conduct yourself in the world? How the world is supposed to be? Because the book is called Anarchos, and if I tell people what anarchos, so first of all, the people in Spanish speaking people, it sounds like narcos, like narcotics, So people like, "Nah, I don't want, but I said no, anarchos, and I didn't want to change the name, because I first started to write a book many many years ago, like 20 years ago or something, and I stopped because I couldn't figure things out, and this started like this. And this is again, Nicolas. I don't know why, but you are. This is the first time I'm addressing this on the air. The first time. I started to write a book. It was more or less 20 years ago, but I called that book The Kingdom. And the reason why I called it The Kingdom is because the the in the Bible and Revelation, that is, they were talking about a kingdom, an everlasting kingdom that will be established. So that was like the first title of the book, The Kingdom, right? And I said, okay, but what would the kingdom be like? So, and the Bible is talking about kingdom of kings. There will be kings. Uh, uh, we all will be kings and queens. So, okay, so but how would you imagine a world with all of us kings and queens? Because it's kind of like an impossibility. Because otherwise, because if all of us are kings and queens, then what is the purpose of the title, king or queen? You know what I mean? So I couldn't. It was disturbing, that information. So I was really working with that, and I couldn't figure things out. Really, I couldn't. I was saying, okay, so but how can we, start a world with kings? And then when I propose these questions to Christians or to even pastors, and then you get stupid answers. You get things like, yeah, like Christ will decide that, and those kind of things. And I wasn't. Most of Christians will be content with that answer, because that would put their responsibility in the hands of someone else and not them. So like, I will enjoy and then let them figure it out, kind of like a attitude. But I'm not like that. I'm totally not like that, and I think that is something that I was born with. I have a problem having blind belief. It doesn't mean that I don't believe. I do, but blind belief is for me a very difficult thing to do, and I wouldn't suggest and advise no one to have blind belief. I don't want people even to believe what I say. I want you to go and figure it out for yourself. So I said, okay, I'm going to make a summary of this knowledge that I have thus far. I'm going to make a summary for my own sons. And that started, and I took again the pen in my hand. So I just go back, got that old Word document that I had then, and I started to rewrite everything based on the, like, 20 years later, based on the knowledge that I acquired in those 20 years. So when I started, it was that, the book was called The Kingdom. And if you really think about it, the book is still about the kingdom, because in Kabbalah they call it Malkut, which is the physical world. So the kingdom was never meant to be a kingdom in the sense of kingdom that we have right now in the world. It was meant that the kingdom was really referring to the physical world, because we have spiritual worlds, and then we are living in the physical world. And the physical world, where we as human beings, and we as you can say potentially higher intellectual beings, can make change into this realm, into this world. That is what basically is meant to with the kingdom. And also in the Bible, the kingdom is nothing about an entity or someone, some person becoming king about all other people. This is called slavery. The kingdom is about the physical world, because we have different worlds out here. We have the mineral worlds, we have the vegetation world, and we have the animal world, which is basically the world we're living. Is the kingdom. That's the physical world. So that is. So I put that. I try to make it a summary. To be honest, I really tried. But there is a lot of things that I'm not addressing as well. So there's a lot of things that you can get from the information that I presented. But there's a lot of things as well missing. So, and then my sons, one of them at least, it came to me and said, "Pa, this is he read it. He said to me, I read that book like 5 times or something like that." So, and he said, "But I still need some more information. I want you to explain to me more of the moral topics. I want you to go deeper into them." So that is how the podcast started. I started to build podcasts. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to speaking some, and then people started to listen to those podcasts as well. So and then someone invited me on a show like you, but in Holland. Okay, so they invited me in the show, and I said, but it was totally like about reincarnation. I was talking about not only reincarnation, we were talking about different other topics as well, about relationships and those kind of topics. Whether that was in Papiamento, which is in the Creole language, and then they said to me, you know what, we want to expand the show, but we want to do it for the Dutch-speaking audience, because before that it was only for the colonial part of the Dutch kingdom, so only the islands. And after that, they decided to branch out, you can say, to the Netherlands itself. They say, I think there's no one better to do that than you, Glenn. So I said, okay, yeah, I will try. I said, yeah. So that started the video podcast. So you see the progression here. So first I started to do it for my kids, and then they themselves tell me, yeah, you have to go deeper into the topics. So I started with the podcast, and then some people who wasn't supposed to be there listened to it, invited me, and then now I have like this show. And then based on all this progression, I came in contact with the materials of Mark Pasho as well. I know maybe you are very known to this to Mark, and I wasn't supposed to get out with my own name. That's why the book has, I would say, my stage name, but in the occult, this is called like your mystic name. And it was very fitting, because you will see. But by the way, Edward is my real name, but it's my second name, Edward. It is the lock part that's not my name, like the lock part. So my name is Glenn Andres Eduard Tramm. So I have two more names in the middle, and one of them is Eduard, and Eduard means a protector. So I was looking at this as protector of what? So but basically Edward was protector of treasures. So I said, but if I am a protector of treasures, which type of treasure I'm protecting? So I was like, so I was really a person that really was thinking about stuff, about things, how things should be and how things are. I was really, reflecting as well, so see myself and try to understand myself better. So protector of what? So it was a protector of treasure. Okay, so at the end it was truth. We all should be protectors of truth. It's not only me. Maybe I have, you can say, the mission right now to, I wouldn't even say reveal it. I would even say remind. That's why my first podcast, it's called Remember, in terms of and a member as a member of your body, like your arms, it's a member of something, so a whole. So remembering is kind of like going back to the source, going back to the whole. That was my first idea of a podcast. So I said, I'm just going to remember you, who you are, where we're going, and what we are doing here. And one of those things is truth. We are protectors of truth. We have to protect truth. And this is how Mark did an immense effect on my behavior, even, because I was listening to him one time, and he said, and he loved to curse, and I was accustomed to his style of, for me, I don't mind, I don't care about, but this one, I think it was one episode, he said, what the fuck are you doing? So I'm doing this, what the fuck are you doing? So, and that shocked me. I said, yeah, I have all this knowledge, I wrote a book, but I'm not really bringing any change. It's not like people are like flooding buying my book. It wasn't created for that purpose either. It was just created for my sons. So, but I'm not doing anything that really is to the betterment of not only myself but also for other. Remember, I came to church trying to understand how I can improve my life. So now I'm here outside of the church, you can even say, and somebody's telling me, what are you doing for others? Which is strange. For me, this is what that I'm just talking about my journey. So this is how I started to build the podcast, and now I have for almost 2 years now. I'm already in season 3. I'm starting next week with season 3 of my video podcast. In the meanwhile, I started to write articles as well. So I have a whole I'm have a whole repertoire of different types of ways of getting to people, because some people will like to still to read, and some people will say, no, I'm not going to read, I'm going to look for a video, and some want to say, oh, I'm going to just listen. So I have, in all these areas, I have provided at least something, so the young can educate themselves, because parents don't do that anymore. They don't even know what truth is. I know I didn't know. My parents didn't know that. I got all this knowledge from strangers, from people like you and me on television, on YouTube, and but it requires a certain type of spirit, because you will have to have that desire to know, and because otherwise you will not come in contact with us. You have to really, it has to be something internally, and that it was my case. I don't know if it was, a lot of people don't have that, so they have to get it from their parents, but their parents don't know. You see what I'm saying? So this is the dilemma that we are in. So I'm trying to appeal to the young more and more, try to see if they can really desire truth instead of desire to watch Netflix the whole day. And that was also the reason why my text, like what I'm writing, is so small. I'm trying to digest it, condense it, and make it crispy and presentable to, especially to the young, because grown-ups, adults, if we can, you can say, they sometimes they got stuck, and then to really unwind their old habits, it takes way much more time, and way much more time. And with the young, you can really present that information for them, and then they will immediately understand. Like my sons, like when I presented this information, for them it was eye-opening. They say, wow, pa, this is like and that was also the gift. I say, I am not giving you money because I don't have none. I'm not giving you connections because it's limited to my lifetime. But what I'm going to give you is way more pressure, way more for our generations to come. And I hope you will experience a better generation than we. So the title of the book is Anarchos, which many people, I was talking about that. So I'm coming back to that topic. The title of the book was Anarchos. Many people will say, oh, well, it's narco traffic or whatever. It's not that. Narcos is the Greek word for anarchy. And if I tell them, they become even more scarier. They're like, what the fuck? Why do you want? And this is where, like, the summary of the book is like every institution on the world is afraid of anarchy. That's the only thing I write, because every time I talk about anarchy, we have the wrong relationship with this word, and that is also deliberate. It's not something that just happened overnight. It is deliberate, because there are, and this might sound like conspiracy theory, but let's call them the dark occultists. I address them as the dark occultists. These are the elite, the people behind the elite. Even it's a priest class, you can even say. These are people with occult knowledge, and I would even say sciences of how the psyche work, how your internal works, the workings of your internal self inside of you, in your mind, but also in your body. And they know as well knowledge about how the world works. So they understand the spiritual worlds. But the only difference is that they have chosen the path to use that knowledge to enslave. And I have chosen the path to use that knowledge to make us free and freer. So, and anarchos points to that fact that we are sovereign human beings. We are not our destiny is not a destiny of doing that what others say, but there is kind of there is a responsibility to it. So anarchy in its original form, and I took it from its Greek form, but it's called anarchos. This book is called Anarchos. So, but it's inner anarchy, and it's composed of en, which means without, and archos, which means ruler. So the word really means without rulers. Doesn't mean without rules, but it is without rulers. There is no, we don't need no government to tell us what to do. We don't need religion to bring us basically to God. We don't need these devices that has been presented to us. If you look in history, they have done more harm than good to you anyway. So, but we don't need them. But we have so much people that believe. We have billions and billions of believers. We don't have truth seekers, and that is something totally different. Truth seekers really are continually looking for truth. Believers, if I tell you a story, you will believe it and you will go on with your life. You will, go back to Netflix, or you go back to whatever the fuck you are doing every day. So basically, this is the journey. This is my journey, and writing that book I was in it, trying to dig and trying to see how I can, there's a different. I try to break it down into understandable pieces as well. I started with God Himself. So what is this entity? What is divinity basically? How can we define something that is undefinable? And why we should define it. Sorry. And this is how I started the whole thing. It was for me as well. Sometimes I think about it and say, wow, this is I couldn't imagine this myself better. So based on different choices in my life, I came to be right now where I am, and now I'm here with you, Nicola. So I thank you for the opportunity to. So I think as well, you are like the first person that really wanted to talk about the book as well, because most of the time I got into shows, and they really wanted to talk about other topics, which I also I'm glad to address. But you are the first one with the book, so that will go on in history, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I just because I just had Corey Engelad on my channel too, and he's from the One Great Work Network, and he's also
Yeah,
an author. He wrote 2 books, so that stuff is really. I couldn't find them. I had them in the process of moving, so I didn't have them on hand, so I didn't read them prior to interviewing
yeah,
him. But I'm gonna do that very soon. I'm gonna read them both, and I'm gonna have him back on, really talk about those things because it's. I mean, for me, it's really impressive because I do videos, but I haven't touched like doing books
uh,
or anything like that. So
yeah,
for me, it's really impressive, and it's just like just thinking about the process that's involved, all the time, all the energy,
yeah.
the editing, and all these things that are in the
It's a
publishing,
lot of
whatever's
work.
involved.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff is
a lot
involved
of
in
work.
that, and
Yeah,
but yeah, not a problem because I really enjoyed this book. So I'm
yeah.
looking forward to
Thank you, man.
reading it again. So like yeah, so I just want to break it down a little bit for people. There's a lot of things
Yeah, sure.
that were really good for me. So, like the topics you cover, you're talking about chaos, the all, which is the creator, natural law,
Yeah,
truth, birthrights, government, self sovereignty, the law, natural state, technologies, magistrates. Then we, at the end, it's talking about you just like kind of repeat the 7 principles, 7 deadly sins, and then 7
yeah,
birthrights.
yeah,
And when you're talking about, let's see, I got some notations here. Let's do the what is it? Um, when you're talking about the all, the inner nature of this underlying power is and must be unknowable to us. We are just an effect from this underlying power, which is the true cause. In such, effect can never be above its cause. The all, this original living thought, is also the quote house we live in, the universe where quote we can move, act, and have our being. For this
Yeah.
reason, the all is in all, and all is in the all. It's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just the and like because I've heard other people talk about these sorts of topics, and I understand it, but then when you are describing, it's in a completely different kind of like just
Yeah.
a different prism of looking at it. But it's like
Yeah.
the way you describe it is very interesting, and I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to delve into like just more about like just like the all and how that's
Yeah.
you just want to
So
delve into that because I know that you obviously know what part I'm talking about in the book. So if
yeah,
you
I
want to
know.
just delve
Yeah,
into
it's
that
at
a
the
little bit more.
beginning. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. That's basically also an hermetic principle. Yeah. So the idea is that we are living in a, let's call it this way. We are living in potentiality. Yeah. That is the potentiality in the occult is called the mother energy. That's the mother. Um, you can also say that's the blackness. It is the vast. When you look up in the sky, you see the universe. That is basically what the ancients will call as well the ether, right? So there are different names for this force, and this is basically the opposite of light. Yeah, but most of the time people will attach divinity with light alone, but this is not true because light would not be light if it's not shine in the darkness. So there is a play between, there's a dynamic between these two like forces, and that dynamic is very useful, especially for us in well, because we're living in a dualistic world. But my problem is that how can we explain to the kids um, who the creator is, if even grown-ups, not even like we ourselves sometimes don't even, we cannot understand it. And I would say this is the reason as well that you shouldn't try to define it, because every attempt you do to define it, you're limited, you're limiting it, right? So but I have to define it anyway. I have to define it because I have to understand, at least in part, where I'm from, right? This is then the challenge for many of us. So that brought me to this idea, and it wasn't something original. I just got it from the Hermetic traditions, that they are the ones that are calling basically God the all. They're not giving it the name God, because God is, if you say God, it's going to be in a religious connotation. But they were the ones that call it the all. And I was like really thinking about that term as well, the all. So basically it's everything, right? And then I say, okay, you know what? Having that understanding of that God is everything, the all. I went deeper into the thought process of it. How do you mean the all? So now, basically in Kabbalah, they address it as well very beautifully. Um, they would say that consciousness started when creation started, but before consciousness there was nothing. So there was no thing, nothing. So they are calling that is potentiality, you can say. And there was, and then from that nothingness, there was a dot, like a light. And that light, that is consciousness, because consciousness is just knowledge. I bring it down. I just say to people, consciousness is knowledge, but it's really much more than that. It's more, it's also more, it's insight. And many times you see that in icons, for instance, if you have an idea, there will be a like a bulb of lamp on top of your head, because that is light, insight. You're starting to really understand how things work, right? So if we have this dot in the nothingness, that is where consciousness starts. But that itself is an effect, that something bigger causing it to become light. You see? So that is the problem. So now even our consciousness, which is the direct connection to divinity, even that, even that is, you cannot say that that is divinity. That is only the created creature of divinity. So our highest nature is consciousness, right? But that is still the effect of a much greater thing causing it. But our reality only happens in that dot, in that, you can say, in that bulb of light. And in that, a, you can even say, a, the darkness was created, so the creation can take place in that darkness. This is a very Kabbalistic way of explaining it. But you see how these topics started, it becomes more philosophical, and I didn't want that to go that deep either. I just wanted to be like very simple. Say, like, listen, the most tiniest cell that you have in your body, this is how I explain it to people most of the time. The most tiniest cell in your body is basically composed of different electrons and atoms, and there is a force keeping those things in order, keeping those atoms and molecules in order, without you having even conscious thought about that. It just happens. It's the same thing as saying my heart is beating without you telling your heart to beat, right? So that's force, and that force is God Himself. This is how I explain it to kids. It's God Himself. So you're not telling your heart to beat. You're not telling your liver to work. You're not telling them how to do their job, but they are doing it anyway. So I said that force that you have in you, that's divinity. Yeah, it is in you. You see. So now, if you look around, you see planets going around their orbits, and you see in the aggregate, in the big picture. Yeah, we can take a telescope and we can see planets. We can see, we can even sense the sun. We can even see the sun. Sometimes we put some protective glasses on. We can experience these dynamics outside of ourselves as well. Now that power, that is God also. That gravity power that you don't see, the unseen power behind the things that you see, that is God. So inside God is, right? Outside God is. So that's why it is outside and inside of you. It's all over the place. It is all. So God is in all, in us, and then God is outside of us. So that is how that was like the thought behind it when I just said God is in all and all is in God. It's a very hermetic way of putting it, to be honest. So yeah, that is how I started to. This is how I explain it to people till this day as well. And then that force is called spirit. A lot of people don't even know what spirit is. So spirit is that force that keeps everything in order inside of you, but also keeps everything in order outside of you. Okay, so we are living in this vast, what I call potentiality, even. So these are like the little things that like you, Nicolas, are asking now. That my sons came to me and said, "Okay, can you please explain that a little bit more?" And that creates the podcast, because every time they have one of those questions, I create a whole new podcast explaining that specific topic. So thank you for that, man. That's so fun.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Yeah, there's I just want to go through. I just want to read a couple of these things because a lot of these things really popped
Yeah,
out
go
to
ahead,
me.
man. I
When
have
you
time. Don't worry.
mentioned responsibility, this was page 17. With this natural freedom comes responsibility. What we choose collectively determines the course of our history. As an individual, you can make good choices, but it is our collective effort that makes the difference for mankind as a whole. We are therefore accountable for our choices. Judgment, either good or bad, based on truth, will follow inevitably, flawlessly, without a doubt. And it just, yeah, makes total
Yeah.
sense. Like we are to like we yes, we do make choices for ourselves, and but then there's also people that make other choices that
Yeah.
interact with our
Affect us.
choices, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like a web of
Affect it.
effects. and that are
Yeah.
just layering on top of each other. And yeah, it's as a collective, what we choose to do, what we choose to believe in, what we choose to support. And yeah, it's just, and it makes total sense. And it's just
Yeah.
one
So
little
because
paragraph.
yeah, yeah. So just to go like deeper into that, a lot of people they walk around and they think that um, I don't care what other people are doing. I don't care what other people believe in. As long as I do my choices and as long as I benefit from my own choices, I don't care about the other world. Now that is a very satanic thought, and that is also in that this thought, this way of thinking is like that is like that is most of the time the thoughts that Christians will walk around with. They will have a sense of altruistic. They would want to do it for other brothers and sisters in the church to see that they. But in the core, most of them they're only thinking about themselves. They're thinking about how God can, help them. Make this money, make them rich. This is one of the main thoughts, because most of them are poor, and then they want money. Most of the people, but the idea is that if we have this wrong beliefs, if we are in aggregate, we have wrong beliefs, that will at the end will what I say trigger truth. So truth will meet you halfway. It will say, hey, you want this? This is what you want. I'm going to give you this. This is the result. Do you really want that? Right? And then in the beginning, it's a testing thing. So you're gonna suffer, but it's not going to be that much of a suffering. Then because it will give you just time to adjust your behavior. Because this is what people don't understand. We are living in a world that is meant for evolution. So this world is not it's not meant for just be happy, enjoy life, and then you die. This world, you can do that, of course. I'm not saying you can't, but the point is that the main purpose is to evolve your thinking. Yeah. So I want for people to understand that this world is also meant for the evolution of your consciousness, and based on your choices, your personal choices, that will trigger your result in your life. But there is a collectiveness in this system, because we are part of a whole. It's kind of like a body. Like, can you imagine when the mind starts to say, I am the highest in this body, I don't need my hands, right? I don't need my legs. I don't need my heart. I don't. So if we start thinking like this, right, what's going to happen with the body? It's not going to function well. So even God, and this is something that maybe Christians and other people will not agree maybe with me, but I would tell you that even God would say, I cannot function in this physical world without us, because we are the agents. We represent divinity on earth in this physical world. We are the light bearers, and we ought to bring the light to the world. We ought to be the salt of the world. Yeah, these are all allegories, of course. Yeah, we are all to make a difference. Our choices, they make differences. Doesn't matter if you do it for good or you do it for the wrong reasons. Because zealots, religious zealots, they are like, they believe in what they believe in, right? And then they do something with that belief. They go and kill people for that. So, and then you can sit down and say, what other people are saying, I don't care. What other people are thinking, I don't care. As long as I do what I want to do, as long as so it's more like the me generation, me. As long as I'm happy, I have my stuff, I have my car, my house, I have my money, I have my things, you know. And then this is the result. So the aggregate result of our behavior, of our past behavior, you will find it in the current state, in the present now. So if we are enslaved, it's because collectively, yeah, more than 50% of humanity thinks this way. Yeah. And then it doesn't mean that if they think this way, that is the right way of thinking. That is the problem. People think that, okay, this is we choose this collectively, that's why it is truth. This is basically what they are saying. Yeah. So because the bulk of humanity choose this path, that is why this is no. Democracy is not truth, by the way. Democracy is not even freedom. Yeah. The point is that the moment we start making choices as a person, that is, you can even say 1 millionth of the choices of the aggregate, because human race is one body, is one consciousness. That is the human race, is one body, one consciousness. So every one of us has a part in the totality. We are allowed to have our own path. We can do it our own way. We can grow the way we want, as long as we don't do harm to others to do the same. And that is the problem. Now we're doing harm to others to do the same. And then we think we have the right to do that harm for the greater good. But it's not for the greater good, because all of us are part of what they call the greater good. So if you do damage to one of the ones that make part of the greater good, you're not doing it for the greater good. So this type of thinking has to be weeded out of our culture. We have to remove it completely. We have to start thinking more free in terms of freedom. Freedom has to be, if you want to have kings, I think I put it in the book as well. If you want to have kings and presidents and those kind of things in your life, choose freedom. Let that be your king. That means that you will bow to nothing. You will, you won't compromise for nothing. We have to start to really see freedom as, because that is the will of creation, by the way. Freedom is the will of creation. But that freedom comes, what I said, responsibility. And what is the responsibility of all of us is to understand truth, to understand what builds and creates reality. And what builds and creates reality is your understanding of reality. And that is what makes you capable of going about with reality the right way. It is a conscious, focused effort. It doesn't come just by being, yourself in a sense, walking around and knowing and understanding nothing. It doesn't work like that. You really need to understand that the world is created for our evolution, that your choices trigger that. It triggers that. So we will get a feedback. And that feedback will be either happiness, it will be our pain. So when you suffer and you have pain, it's just a feedback. It's just telling you, hey, you're doing something wrong. You have to change your behavior right now. Otherwise, this state will stay the same. That's what I call natural state. We have to change the conditions of our world in such a way that we will have now the state is not natural. It's basically even abnormal. It's not a normal state. So all these things that we are looking for, and we are also focusing on the effect. So a lot of people will have shows and they will talk about endless hours of how the government should do it differently, or how the church should behave differently, or whatever. But this is all in the realms of the effect. It's all, and you will never, and even Einstein recognized this. He says you cannot make any change with the same tools you created the problem in the first place. So you cannot change with the same tools that you create the problem with. So you have to have better tools, higher tools to address those little small problems, because they are not problems if you start understanding how nature works. And freedom is a really part. The problem is that we are afraid, Nicholas, we are afraid of freedom. Because in our mind, if we don't have these constructs, government, money, religion, if we don't have these three things, we will create chaos in the world. And that is not a statement of truth, right? That is the problem. And then as long as we walk around with these belief systems, they will determine our behavior. And that behavior will carry with it a result in the aggregate as well. The problem is too many people walk around thinking that these three institutions, what I call even the Satanic Trinity, that they are we will need them to survive. You can even argue, yeah, but we needed them to evolve till this point. Yeah, okay, I can even live with that and say, okay, but now is the time to start evolving even more. We are going that way of freedom, not the other way, the way of lockdown and the way of enslavement. So we are perfectly going the right way, and then now we are shooting ourselves in the foot, you can say, and then go all the way back to enslavement, to even a physical enslavement, if you ask me, because putting someone in lockdown, for instance, what we had in the COVID period, that is, for me, that is slavery. But it started in the mind, because now the fight is not a physical fight; it is more a fight for the mind of the population. They are indoctrinating people. They are telling them lies, and they are trying to get people really to get into that state of mind, because that is it basically, that they will misbehave continually, and that is what you see happening all over and over and over and over again. So yeah, so your choice, my choice, your choice is important. That's why I teach, to tell people your choice is important, even for my life, because I didn't tell the Islamic zealots to go and kill people. I don't tell these people to do these things, but it happens anyway. So you have to tell, educate people and tell them, hey, you are also part of this, because we are all the same. We are all basically the same. Like, we are take part of the same system. So it's our job, because if the teachers cannot do it, if the government cannot do it, we have to do it. And then if we are doing it, why do I need you, government? Why do I need you, church? Why do I need you, cops and militaries and all these, because what we are doing is it's the same as our minds about our health. We are eating McDonald's. We are eating unhealthy foods completely. We are eating it, and then thinking that our health will be perfect. This is what we are doing. And then if the health fails us, we're not changing the eating, which is the wrong thing, the root cause of the problem. No, we are taking medicine, paracetamol, or we're taking, Advils and those kind of things to relieve the pain. But we're not removing the habit. So that is what we have to do. So what I mean with changing our behavior is basically changing our habit. But it starts in the way you think, because that is what drives a person, the way the person thinks, right? So I don't want people to misinterpret it. I don't think people misinterpret it anyway. But I do want to state the fact that yes, your choice makes a difference in your life. So maybe because I am doing my best to do the less harm to the world. I'm doing my best to act in accordance to natural law, to harmonize with nature. I'm doing my best for that, to be honest, right? But that is not enough, because the seas are still poisoned with plastic. Our food is poisoned. So what others do have an effect on my life, on my quality of life as well. So you really want to go out there. That's why I encourage people to speak, especially if you know this knowledge. And because what you know now can affect someone else, can make a difference in his life. And then that person will have a good effect, a good influence on others in his neighborhood or her neighborhood. And that is how truth should be, because we cannot think that media will do this for us anymore, because they won't do it. In fact, it's the other. They're doing the opposite. They're putting ill, you know, bad thoughts, belief systems into people. I always say, don't believe, know. Yeah, that's the thing. Knowing, it is based on experience, based on true understanding, and that is basically the reason why choosing is so important. Every choice you make in life, you have to ask the question: am I doing someone else harm? Am I stealing from them? These are basic things that grown-ups, I have seen people die 80 years of age. They don't even understand these like simple basic principles. That's why I was teaching them to my kids, because you can say what you want. I know that we are not there. And the reason why we're not there is because collectively, the result that you see is still enslavement. Yeah. So that's why I know that we are not there. Of course, you have people that they are higher in consciousness, even higher than I am. I'm not saying that I know all the answers. I wrote the book to give people a sense of direction. I didn't even present the book as like, oh, this is the truth. You should do this like this. No, I didn't do that like that. I just give them. In my show, I'm trying to give people as well a sense, at least a sense of the way they should think, the direction that thoughts should go, instead of this I think it's an illness. It's a sickness. It's even a cancer. If people start really think that because they have a badge, or because they have even a gun, that they can really force someone else, they have the right to force someone else to do anything in life. Yeah. So that should go. It is a cancer. That's the cancer thought, that a person having a certain belief can even come and say, you have to do it, otherwise I kill you. That's a cancer. That's cancer. The body has cancer. And then what do we do with cancer? Normally you would say you have to kill the cancer cell, otherwise it will destroy the whole body. But my approach is more like, okay, you know what? let's talk first. Let's bring your consciousness first to a higher level. Let's teach you first. And I don't even have to be the one that will be the one killing, for instance. Nature will do it for itself. This is where catastrophe will start to come more and more, because nature has a way to balance itself. So the only thing we can do is to understand it and be part of that system. It is a whole system. That's why if we poison our food, it will poison us. And then I don't understand why people cannot understand that. If we poison our seas, and we poison our food, we poison ourselves. If we put chemicals on our vegetation, we poison ourselves. So I don't understand why we cannot understand that. And then we have to start dealing with these issues the right way. And that was the whole intention behind my book as well.
Yeah, and a lot of great points. My mom is actually watching, and she's what she usually says: "No one is above another." Fabulous interview. God bless you. God bless you too, Mom. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate it.
you.
But yeah,
Thank
no
you.
one is
Thank you.
above another. That's exactly what you're talking about. Just because you have a badge and a gun, whatever, doesn't give you the right to force somebody to do something.
No.
And then Adam Baum, thank you for watching. I really like the student's perspective, as do I. As do I. I would
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
recommend checking out his book. Definitely a great read. Like he was saying,
Yeah.
like he was breaking
Thank
it
you,
down
guys.
very simple.
I
And then
appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And then basically kind of like what you're going to like we have to make the changes. Like when we're sick,
Yeah.
we not don't just take Advil, don't just do this. Like with me, I have tight
No.
hips right now. What am I going to
Yeah.
do? Just keep sitting like this, or am I going to get up and do some stretching and
Precisely.
continue to do stretching and change my habits, change my
Yeah.
daily routine to where slowly but surely things get alleviated. Just like with what's going on in the world, things aren't being alleviated because we're just ignoring it, or we're
Yeah.
looking at, like you're saying, the causes or the effects. We're just
Effect.
looking
Yeah.
at the effects and complaining about that when it's actually we have to look and ask the why and get to the cause, the causal
The root.
factors.
Yeah.
And then another great part in your book, chapter 7, self sovereignty, page 37. Asking why the all doesn't interfere with his creation suggests that you are blaming him for what is happening on the earth. This also, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. This also immediately portrays your level of consciousness. By playing the blaming game, you are unconsciously shifting your responsibility to another. You are
Yeah.
putting all the cards in the hand of some being, in this case, a deity of some sort. At this point, you might see why rulers have been put into place in order to give the masses someone to blame for actions they themselves took. In
Yeah.
politics, the masses look to the government, while in religion, the congregation believes in a god or pastor capable of changing their fortunes. It's like that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
us. We have to make we are at this point in time in the world because of
Yeah.
actions we have continued to take and systems we've continued to support. I don't see how something like if the creator has these rules in place, which I believe is the case, and we have cause and effect and all these other things, why on
Yeah.
earth would he come down and change the rules of the game for us to save us when we're the ones when he's given us the power to change our own reality by
Reality. Yeah.
making different choices and changing our minds and our brains.
So that is what I was trying to convey as well, Nicola. So it's like my problem, my biggest problem, because I was in church as well. My biggest problem was this. Okay, yes, I have Christ now in my life. You pray the prayers, the sinner's prayer they call it, and now God is in my life, and I'm okay to go. Now basically I'm done. I'm in heaven now. So if I die now, I go straight to heaven. Now, first of all, that's even I found that a very fear-based, conscious a solution. Basically, it's very fear-based because, oh, if I die, what's going to happen to me if I die? And people are afraid of that, of course. So that is the reason why you're trying to do your best now to make sure that when you die, you're going to be comfortable. So okay, so but I couldn't understand that part. I get it. I mean, okay, people are afraid. That's why you do it. But I couldn't understand this part. This part for me is the most. I was like, I was thinking about this for days sometimes even, because even after I did the Lord's prayers as well, because I was involved in the church for a long period of time. I was really trying to understand everything. And what happened was is that I could not. There is one thing that and I still can't. That's why I wrote it down in the book like that. Is that you are praying to a God to come fix the problems that you have created in the first place. If I have kids, right, and if they mess up their room, I can clean it up one time. I can clean it up two times. I can clean it up three times. I can clean it up 1,000 times even. But there will be a point that you will say, okay, but now is the time that you will have to start growing up and clean up your own shit. Okay? So, and if you think of if you think in God in terms of a person, a relationship with a son and a father, that would be the reaction. Like, okay, so now it's time for you to clean up your own shit. I do that with my kids. I'm not going to clean up your room. So you mess up your room, you make it a mess, and I have to go and clean it up every time you mess up. Every time you mess up, I have to clean it up. And that doesn't make sense to me. That you're not teaching your children anything, because now they're going to be spoiled brats. So they're going to do whatever they want without consequence. This is the thing. You're telling them they can do whatever they want, and there will be no consequence at all, right? So you can mess up your room, and there will be no consequence. You can keep up messing it every day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. There will be no change in behavior. So for me, that was a problem, because I see this behavior so vivid in church as well, that people they can even see that they did wrong. Say, okay, I was wrong. Oh God, forgive me, and then they go and then they do the same. There has to be a force in you, the willpower to change, and that only happens through understanding. Change does not happen if you don't understand. That's why people keep doing the same bullshit hollow day after day and day after day. As long as they don't understand why they should change their behavior, they have to change their behavior. Okay, so the what we have to start understanding is that, and especially I saw this a lot in my environment, is that we don't understand how things work. And the reason we don't understand how things work is that because no one presented us to truth. Every time we look at TV or any other sources of information, it's all crap. It's all crap, and then we expect garbage in is garbage out. This is the way it works. Also in your body, what comes in, that is what goes out. That is, it can be nothing. So we really need to um, start understanding the dynamics at work here. That is basically, and then we cannot blame others. We cannot blame no one else. Not even I cannot even blame you, Nicholas. I have to start with myself first, always. That's where the starting point starts. Starting first with yourself. God is not going to go and fix our problems. In fact, He already fixed it. That's what they call natural laws. Natural laws are a set of laws, right, inherent in nature, that makes our collective reality a possibility, even. Yeah. So you experience the world, you experience the sun, you experience gravity, you experience all these things. These are all part of natural law. Yeah, that these are natural laws. These are facts. They don't change for anyone. So basically, your perspective, the way you see it, is going to be pretty much, and not pretty much, is going to be the same. Yeah, we all experience light, the light of the sun. We all experience gravity. We all experience electromagnetism. We all experience these types of forces working around us. These are the laws of nature. These are the only laws. These are like the laws that we ought to abide with. Yeah, I say with because you're not forced to. In fact, that we are not forced to is the world we are living in right now is a result, is a how do you say in English, the manifestation of these laws, because these laws work based on our choices. So truth is, I explained it in the book as well. Truth is has a dual nature. It is you have the part that you don't have it, you cannot change, which is natural law. You cannot change that. That is not something that you can change. These what I call the laws of nature, the natural laws. But there are things that you can change, and this is where we, as a person and as a collective race, have a choice in. And what they want to tell us is that we don't have a choice, that everything is predetermined. You have that perspective, and then you have the other perspective that there is nothing predetermined, that everything is random, that we can choose what truth is, we can choose everything, and that is also not true. The truth is, I'll say it's always in the middle. It's both, because the world is governed by natural laws, but we, in that environment, we have choices. And what are expected of us is to make choices that are in harmony with those laws. That is expected of us. We don't have to, but if we don't, you will see we will immediately start experiencing suffering, immediately start experiencing pain. And what we are doing is like, okay, so now I have this experience, but I don't want to change my behavior. I just want to I just want to alleviate the pain and keep doing the things that I'm doing anyway. That is basically the behavior that we have right now, the how we are conducting ourselves in the world right now, how humanity is conducting themselves right now in the world. It's like, oh, this is happening. I don't care. I don't care if it's happening. I just want to alleviate the pain, and I'll keep doing the thing. I don't want to change my behavior. And then the real point is that behavior that needs to be. That's the real thing that needs to be changed. And then in church, you will get this at least this feeling, this idea that, oh, God will fix it. Don't worry, just pray. So your behavior should not be changed. So now you're asking God to change his behavior towards you. So you're telling God, you know what, Creator, I don't give a fuck about your rules. I don't give a fuck about what you think. I don't give a fuck about this creation even, right? In fact, I want to keep doing the things that I'm doing. I'm not going to change. I want you to change your perspective about me. This is basically what you're doing. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, if you say that you have balls, but good luck with that, I would say, because nothing is going to happen. So, and the other side of the coin is that people will say, no, but the government should do it. It's not my responsibility that people don't have food. It's the government should do it. It's not my responsibility to educate my kids. Send them to school, let the government do it. And experience tells us that the government is doing a shit. The only thing they're doing is taking from you. They're not fixing anything. The things that are fixed are because conscious people get out of their asses and did it. And it was not the government that was doing it, because the people empower themselves can't do a shit. The only thing they are doing is sitting down and create laws that preventing us to evolve in the first place. Yeah. So we are pointing to the government, we are pointing to the religion, to God, and we are pointing to money, because if it cannot be done, it's because we don't have money to do it. So we are blaming everybody but ourselves. So I'm doing this. I'm not getting paid for anything. I'm not getting paid for my podcast. I'm not getting paid for if I get money from my book, it's a very low percentage. I put it anyway there, even though I'm the one who's getting. You're not getting too much about, because the book is called also is $7. So you can imagine the royalty on that on that. Yeah. So it's not. I'm not doing it for these reasons. I'm doing it because I understand that if we don't, and I'm saying we, because I shouldn't be we should all engage in this work, basically. If we don't do it collectively, as a person, as an individual, you will have the effects on that, on your doing nothing. If you keep doing nothing, you will reap the consequences of doing nothing. And we are reaping already the consequences of doing nothing, because the government does what he wants and thinks that he has the right to do it. And that is my problem. I have a lot of issues with that. It doesn't work like that. There is a higher structure in creation, higher, you can say, force in creation, active. Cause and effect is continually active. What you sow, you will reap. Is continually active. It doesn't matter if you put a badge on it, all right. Doesn't matter. These things doesn't matter. The ways we think we can structure culture, it really doesn't matter how the creator itself thought about it, because he thought about it. I say he because I address it as the Father, the giver of life, the giver. So it's a that's why I say he. It's not about, but there is also a feminine aspect of it. It's the aspect of care. So don't worry. But I said he. So he has the first thought about how things should be. That's why it is the way it is. That's why I know that the creation is the will of Creator, because this is how he thought about it. And the purpose was, the whole purpose is to experience that through us. That is basically it. To experience through us. So we can, and then that requires freedom. Absolute freedom, not limited freedom. Absolute freedom. That you will get your instructions only from the creation itself. That is where the instructions comes from, not from people. Other people can teach you, educate you, but instructions come from the creator himself. And then basically he is waiting for us to do that. So all the problems has been solved already. We don't have problems, basically. The problems that we have are the problems that we created ourselves through our own actions, right? So everything in the world that you can perceive as a problem You have to first start looking within. That is also a very in the occult, is that a very this is the main topic. Look within. Look at yourself. Look at how you behave. Look at how you think, and then ask yourself: is it in harmony with the laws of the universe, the laws of nature? Because if we start going against these laws, the ones that you're going to be hurting is yourself first, and then you will be hurting the aggregate as well, the collective whole, right? Because if you are suffering, I am suffering. This is how we should start looking at the world. If one person is in need, all of us are in need. If my eyes is hurting, right? What are you going to do? My hands immediately goes here. I am pain, because the hand is starting to help the region that is hurting. That is an automatic reaction on the body. The body is always looking for the whole, to be complete, to be healthy, right? So what's going to happen if the eyes is not working? The whole body is going to engage in healing that part that is not working. Yeah. So this is how what the universe is doing with us right now. So it's concentrating you can say, for the audience, it is concentrating that energy to heal our thoughts, to heal our behavior. This is basically, but if it doesn't work, what do you think the next step is? Start rejecting it. It will start rejecting it. And then how will you experience that in the world? Tsunamis, catastrophes, those kind of things are starting to happen. Because the universe is always finding the point of balance, finding the point that everything is beauty, everything is beautiful, everything works according to plan, according to will, with capital W, according to the will of the Creator. Yeah. So our free choices is within these laws, within these natural laws. Apart from those laws, we have no responsibility to no one, to nothing even. And then that is why I found the title Anarcho so fitting, because it suggests as well a state of total freedom, total liberty, with no one, no person telling us what to do, but that we can experience life to the full, developing our consciousness to the fullest, yeah, by choosing our own journey. Like my show in Dutch is called Eigen Pad, which is basically your own. If you translate it in English, it means your own journey, because it is your own journey, and it has to stay like that. Yeah, and every outside body who wants to force anything is per definition slavery and evil and immoral at the same time, per definition. The only problem is that we are not spending time and focus and energy on educating ourselves and becoming moral human beings, because a natural state, a state of total absolute freedom, is at the end only possible if we all become responsible, we all become moral, right? That is the key here. And morality is based in truth, in absolute truth. So only from absolute truth you can have absolute freedom. From that, the problem that we have now, we think truth is relative. My truth, your truth, kind of a movement we have right now. Therefore, morality is relative. My morality, your morality, kind of like an idea. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, and that is where I'm trying to bring to the audience this understanding that it does not work like that. That is one absolute truth. That is what creates our collective experience, and then that is then your choices in that experience, in that environment. It's your choices that you are making, and then based on your choices, the universe will guide you. And how do you know? Well, are you suffering? Are you suffering? Are you having a pain? Is this something that keeps repeating itself? Is it a pattern? So the universe is just guiding you. Say, maybe you should make another choice. Maybe you should do it differently. This is the knowledge that I want to bring to to my own generation to make informed decisions based in truth. And there is a lot of lies out there. So you have to weed out all these lies. And but it can be an overwhelming task, but it has to be done nonetheless. That's why it's called the great work. Yeah, because it's not a small thing to do, to work on yourself. Yeah, and let alone teaching others as well. That's going to require extra energy, like we are doing, Nicolas. Having shows and writing books and doing these things cost an immense amount of time and dedication. So, but we all have to come to that point. We all have to come to that point that we all have to sacrifice, because that's the real currency. I mean, what is then the real currency in actual creation, in actual reality? That is your focus, your attention. Where do you put your attention to? Because the universe will give you the desires that you have in your heart based on your attention. So are you looking for truth? If you're looking for truth, that will give you the rewards of truth, which is happiness, joy, freedom, and all these things that we say we want. Yeah. And if you put your attention on nothing, or you want to, you know, be no one, in a sense, what is the result of that? You're not giving your attention to anything. You will get, as a result, suffering, pain. So you're going to get the opposite of it, of what you're looking for. So this is basically, this is the whole purpose of the book, and I am so glad that that all these points are, you're seeing all these things, Nicolas. I'm very, very happy, because this was the purpose, and I'm seeing that the message is coming over, at least a little bit, if at least with you guys. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you going into detail like that. And earlier, when you said that there was like two separate stories that you had never said on air, and you felt
Yeah,
comfortable enough and open enough on my during this interview to say those things, and that truly
yeah,
means a lot to me,
yeah.
because I mean, I guess maybe you can just feel like I don't have any ill will. Like I want to give you this platform to be able to communicate and tell people all about this book, because I find it to be very valuable. I purchased it myself. It's not like he gave it to me for free. He's not paying me to
Yeah.
say any of this stuff. It's all just me genuinely appreciating and having finding a lot of like things that resonate with me within this work. And I
Thank you,
definitely
brother.
recommend this for anybody to read. And like you said, you broke it down, made it really, really simple, very short. You can read it in a day, you can read it in an afternoon. Um, and yeah, so it's a pleasure, and I appreciate you going into such detail about it. In chapter 7, again, in self sovereignty, just one more point, I guess. Page 39. Um, Last but not least, these laws are there to give us our experience of our life choices. That is why your choices are important. Making choices without understanding will almost always produce something that you don't want. I cannot stress the importance even more of making choices that does not violate life, freedom, growth, and development of mankind. Going against these creates suffering and pain, unless, of course, you want suffering and pain.
I'm paying. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
Because because I was trying to be as objective as possible as well. I don't want to. This is the last thing I want. I don't want people to have my opinions. But what I do want to do is convey some principles, and then I want, because we all have the capability. Some people more than others, maybe, to to have a more profound thinking process. But even the thinking process has to be developed. It's a part of the evolution. We are developing our ways of experiencing this life. So I want to be as objective as possible. So okay, so because there are people in the world that really, but I think they have self-loathing. Yeah, so they hate themselves. That's why they say, okay, I hate myself, so that's why I'm destroying everybody else. Maybe they have some bad experience in their life. I don't know what makes people um, having these types of ideas, that they only think about themselves, and then even if it costs somebody else's life, they are willing to destroy someone else's life so they can have the full pleasure of their lives. So just to point out that knowledge in general, you can do both things with it. You can do good things with it. It's just a tool. Knowledge is just a tool. The problem is that we have the right tools, but we don't have the right mindset. It's like giving a child a gun. I'm not against gun per se, right? Because I do believe that if one person has a gun, everybody has to have gun. But we don't give guns to minors, to children. You see what I'm saying? So you really need to bring that child first to the level of understanding how dangerous this can be. And this is also part of the reason why occultists, kept this knowledge hidden for so long, because they didn't want to give it to children. They don't want to give it to people that meant illness. People who want to do harm. But now it's not the time to be sick, to stay secret about these matters anymore, because you will see that it will start to have in a collective sense, a very bad effect on the world. You will see people, they are doing things for the wrong reasons. They are really not understanding that their choices is creating this all. Even if I see people protesting, even like you're still doing it in the system. You are still fueling the system if you protest. Even the right thing is to say no to every of these things. I'm trying my best, for instance, to not. I'm trying really my best, for instance, to not pay taxes. Like obviously, the VAT you cannot go around. So if you buy things in the stores, you cannot go around with that. But all the rest that you can, every way you possible, do not support the system. I don't support religious congregations, not anymore. I don't support political organizations, not anymore. And even money, I try to be as much as possible in the realms of cryptocurrency, which is also a fiat currency, but at least it is not centralized. So you try to behave in this environment as much as possible, try to do as less harm as possible, and then try to bring other people as well in the same stream. Because if all of us start to demand our freedom, even and say, no, this is my choice, this is my body, this is it's not yours to decide what to do with it, right? So if I say no, you have to respect that. So how can you find raping of someone else illegitimate and wrong, but forcing people to put medicine in their body, that is okay? Because I have to be, it's the same thing. I'm forcing something on somebody else's body. This is the problem. We don't see the principles behind the things, behind the effects, behind the things that happened. You have to start training your brain to look behind the veil. This is what they call in Christian terms, going behind the veil, going what's behind the causal factor of things. That is where we have to start looking, and then you will start seeing the world way different. You will people who don't know me will say, this guy is crazy. But all of us who started to go into this path, people will at one point will start telling you that you're crazy because you're not doing things the normal. You're not seeing things the normal way other people are seeing it. Because I'm seeing the principles, and then in the principles, that is where our behavior should be decided if we're going to go right or left. Okay, so yeah. So I am objective. I'm trying to be as objective as possible in my convey and my bringing of this information out. But sometimes it's difficult, of course, because I don't want to be in complete state of slavery. I don't want to have that experience. So I'm trying to tell people, if you want happiness, you have to go that way. This is the way we have to go. But it's extremely difficult because everybody has their own ways of things and own ways of looking at things. I'm cool with that. But as long as we are doing it in freedom. And that is my point. That is the whole point of it. So giving a child a tool, and I consider technology a tool. Yeah. But giving a child a tool, and having a low consciousness, that tool will only harm that child. It will only harm it. So that's why knowledge has been kept from us all these times. But Now you will see as well, not having that knowledge also brings harm. So in the book, I'm giving you a summary, and then hopefully whetten the appetite of the reader, so they themselves can decide for themselves. Oh, I'm going to go more deeper. I'm going to understand how to use the gun even better. Yeah, because truth is meant also to defend yourself. You can defend yourself with truth, because you know that nobody can force you to do anything. You will be comfortable saying, I'm not going to do what that person or that institution tell me to do, because this is my body, this is my experience, it's mine to start with. This is the reason why it is so important to have these information, to have the occult knowledge, to have this truth. It is occult up to the point that it is hidden from you. The moment you start understanding this knowledge, you start seeing the patterns, it's not going to be occult for you anymore. And then you will even see how evil people are, and then how important your support, your influence is on them. Say, hey, you're not doing this, is not moral, you shouldn't be doing it like that. And then you will see, you'll start correcting people in love, because this is that's the first step, doing it in love, understanding that that person was you a few years back. That's why you start in love. That is, the moment they start becoming physical, then you can become physical if you want to. You can die as well, but you have to defend yourself, and this is a defense mechanism. Speaking truth, that's a defense mechanism, but it's the first level. And then we still have a chance to turn our behavior around, change our way of thinking, change our way of doing things. We do have the power in our hands now, today, right? It's just saying no to these institutions. That's the key. Just say no. No, that's the power. And they are very afraid of that phrase, by the way. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do your evil things. I'm not going to support your evil things. And then they will have tons of excuses. People will come to me and say, but if you don't pay, an example, if you don't pay tax, who's going to pay for the roads? Again, your consciousness is locked up in money, government, religion, those three things. It's only locked up in there. Yeah, we cannot. I'm not saying that I have the solution of everything, but what we cannot do is steal from somebody else, because basically it's stealing. Nicholas, your parents have told you that if you take something without asking, if you take something that is not yours without asking, essentially that is stealing. So if you take money from my bank account that I worked for, and then he didn't ask me, hey, Nicholas, can I have 40%, 50% of your hard-earned money? Can I have that? If you don't do that, that is essentially stealing. Only when I give it out of my own free will, it will be a legitimate thing for you to take it. Because if I didn't give it to you, it's stealing. It is essentially, the principle is stealing. So we have to look at the principles. That should guide our behavior. So now you understand, okay, so these institutions, they are just telling us, no, we're going to take it. We're not going to give you even a choice. Okay, so, and then this is my thing. Cause and effect is a law, is a natural law, cause and effect. So if we are sowing immorality because we are stealing, can we expect morality in our culture? And the answer is no. It will never. That's why people starting to start thinking about ways to dissuade taxation, and then other people will say, but it's all in the realm of effects. Other people will say, yeah, but I'm paying and you are not paying, so I want you to pay. You know, and you get this foolish debate between basically two slaves. Yeah, because the one is saying, I am a slave, I'm paying this because they are forcing me to pay it. So now I'm forcing it on you as well. So I want you to be a slave as well. You see? So this is the dynamic is happening now. And you see that in everything. In everything. I mean, in the fights of gender, male and female, those kind of things. You see it in everything. In everything, because the whole purpose is they want you to get your focus on the effect. And the effect. But you cannot solve the effect if you don't understand the cause, what is causing that. Yeah. So we have to start, and I'm not shy to say it in your show. We have to start dismantling these institutions to remove their influence on our life. And it starts with you saying no, and then we have to really stop having these build. I'm not saying go and destroy the buildings, but we have to dismantle these types of organizations. Okay, so we will have to end up in a position in a moment where we would say there is no government, there is no religion, and there is no religion higher than truth. There is no religion other than truth. Even I would say the truth is. That's it. Even the only thing that religion is striving to do is to explain truth. Truth is the highest religion that is. The truth. So we will have truth as our guidance. Truth is the highest politic laws there is. Everything is based in truth. That's why it's absolute. It's objective. It doesn't care your age, your perceptions, your opinions. It doesn't care about these things, because natural law is truth. It doesn't care about anything. The only thing it's here to guide us. It's here to show us the way, but we have to be willing to see it. We have to be willing to accept it, because that is also the second part. Some of us see it, but we don't want to accept it. Okay, we don't want to say, "Oh, this is how it works. This is how it actually works in real reality." Yeah, and then I have to change my behavior to be in harmony with those laws. So this is how I try to put that in writing, but in an easy way of understanding that these things are important for you to understand, that your choice is important, your understanding of things are important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just you just explained it so well. So it's fantastic. I really do appreciate you going into such detail. I know we're already almost at 2 hours, so I just want to finish with the book on this part. When you're talking about the seven wrongdoings. So do not steal others' freedom. Don't enslave or incarcerate. Do not steal others' virtue. Don't rape. Do not steal others' privacy. Don't trespass. Do not steal others' growth. Don't impede others' development. Do not steal others' life. Don't kill. Do not steal others' choices. Don't coerce. And then do not steal others' property. So people can say, okay, well, people can say it's right and wrong is subjective and it's based on our preferences and how we're feeling on a given time or given day.
Yeah.
But don't, and then like you're saying, don't take your word for it. So look at those 7 things that I just listed off and that he wrote down in the book, and try your best to consciously not do those things.
Yeah.
And then just be observant of your day-to-day life and what happens. Do good things end up happening in your life, or do bad things end up happening? Do you meet good people, or do you meet bad people? Are doors or opportunities opening up for you, or are doors closing for you, and things aren't working out for you in your favor? So just be observant of that stuff. Don't take our word for it. Just apply it in your own life, because I know that most rational people don't want to kill, don't want to trespass on other people's property, and don't want to do all these things. So that's it. That's what it boils down to. Just don't steal. Just don't violate anybody. Don't cause violence.
That is the key. The summation, the summary of it all is just don't steal. Don't take that which is not yours without the consent of someone else. That's it. And that is where basically the whole law is based upon. The whole law, which I mean the whole law of creation. Everything is based on that, on that simple thing. So, and then we can go, and this is how the natural state can be a reality if we start understanding these 7 things. Don't steal. Basically, that one thing, don't steal. Right? If we understand that good enough, deep enough, and I just broke it down in 7 because 7 is the number of balance in the occult. So I just got 7 things. It can be, you can keep putting even more on there. I can have more than those 7 things in there, as long as in the principle. The principle is don't take it without the consent of the owner. Okay, so so these are like basic things, basic human things that can be done. And if we do these things, a absolute freedom state is possible without government, without religion, and especially without money. Okay, so but Nicolas, thank you for the opportunity that you have given me on your platform to explain myself even better about the book, especially in relation to the book. Man, I really appreciate that, man. Seriously.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you. I know we like there was a few more questions I had, but I know we're already almost at 2 hours. So,
Well, you can
um,
ask them. You just go ahead,
no,
ask
no,
them if you want
I
to.
would love to have you back on in the future if you were interested in
Okay.
doing that. So
Yeah, of
we can
course.
always
Of course.
tackle something else. Like just, I wanted to definitely focus on the book. So the fact that we took a lot more time on that, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine with me because I thought it was
Okay.
definitely well worth it. So, not a problem at all. I'd love to have you back on. But yeah, if you want to just tell people where they can find you and if they want to support you, how they can do that.
Yeah. So my work you can find on www.thegreatworkexperience.com. That is my main website where I have all my materials in it. On it, sorry. And I have mainly for the English speaking audience, I have the book, of course, and I have as well the articles. The articles are more occult, mystic articles, but mysticism and occultism not really the same. But I'm going to use that now as a synonym. But the idea is that it helps the mind. It develops the process of how you should think. That's what it's all the purpose of my articles as well are. So they are not always um, real stories. There are I talk about myths and those kind of things and how I interpret those myths, etc., etc. So yeah, so you can find there my articles. There is something that's called RSS feed. That is for my podcast, but it's in Dutch for the Dutch-speaking audience. You can go and listen to that. There you can get as well you can get everything there from me. But you can also get me on the One Great Work Network. That's the platform of Mark Passio, and then you can see. So you see that there. It's tickering down there. Yeah. So it's Tramm. And then you can see some of my materials as well. And there you can see as well my website as well. And you can make a donation to me there as well. On my website as well, on donation, you can make it as well there. So yeah, that is how you can find me. And I'm not on the conventional platform. I'm not really on YouTube. You will find some of my work on YouTube, but it's more or less through other types of channel. But I don't have myself because I talk a lot about government. I talk a lot about religion, and it's not favorable for them. So I don't even give them the pleasure to remove my content from their platform. So so you will find me on Odyssey. You will find me on Odyssey, and I'm working on Bitchute as well. So there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm totally being shadow banned on YouTube. It's really a joke. I have a fraction of the people on BitChute that are subscribed to me, and I get 10 times, 20 times as many views. So yeah, like you're saying, it's better off just basically just going to BitChute anyway or Odyssey
Yeah.
because you're not going to be censored in that aspect. So yeah, people, if you want to, definitely, I have the link in the comments for the book on Amazon. So if guys wanted to check this out, definitely a good read. I personally recommend it. Very valuable information. And yeah, Glenn, if you just want to stay on just for a quick couple minutes after we get off
Yeah, no
the live
problem. Yeah,
chat, that'd be
sure.
great. And yeah, thank you everyone that's watched today, this morning. I hope you guys have a great day. For anyone that's watching in the future, thank you so much. It really truly means a lot to me. And God bless everybody and stay safe. Okay.